Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, at least the Steelers' regular season is over and done with, and I got some mixed emotions on this one. What is going on, everybody? I am Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is in the box below. On one hand, I always love it when we beat the Baltimore Ravens, let alone when we sweep them, which we have now done for the third time since 2020, and for now the fourth time in the past 8 seasons. So we do have Baltimore's number. We've won 11 out of the last 15 against them. We have won 7 out of the last 8 against them. And since 2017, we are now 7-1 in Baltimore since 2017. So we do have the Ravens number. We did do our job for what we needed to do to stay alive. You guys know that song by the Bee Gees, "Staying Alive, Staying Alive, Staying Alive. Staying alive." When you see John Travolta strutting down the sidewalk like that on Saturday Night Live, okay, that's what the Steelers did. We're staying alive. So we did what we needed to do tonight, which was win. It don't matter how you get the job done. It don't matter what you do, especially in week 18 of the regular season. You just need to win. Okay? There were moments in this game where it seemed like the Steelers were going to blow it, and it seemed like there were times, especially where they were getting too conservative, like in the first half, at the end of the first half. This doesn't save me from my position on Mike Tomlin because, once again, his lack of fundamentals and his lack of clock management shine through once again, where he burned 2 timeouts on a drive that we had good momentum going into, which I agreed with. It was under the 2-minute warning. You needed to have a good drive because Baltimore did get the ball to start the second half. But you burn 2 timeouts. You have a good drive going. At that point, you have to use all 3 timeouts to save as much time as possible and take one more shot for a touchdown, because you cannot give the Ravens any confidence going into the second half, especially when they get the ball first. Instead, they go no huddle, and the very next play, Mason Rudolph gets strip sacked. Ravens recover, they take a knee, they get the ball to start the second half. Of course, Tomlin fans are going to be like, "Oh, well, Mason Rudolph's not the guy. Oh, see, he got strip sacked right there. Second turnover of the night for the Steelers." When we shouldn't have even been in that predicament, because all Tomlin had to do was burn a timeout. Now, granted, if he did call a timeout and the play still resulted in Mason getting strip sacked, oh well. It is what it is. It happens. But you cannot sit down here and blame Mason Rudolph for that, because A, it shouldn't have happened, and B, it wasn't even his fault. It was just a great play by the Ravens. Okay? But I know Tomlin fans are going to blame that one on Mason Rudolph, and if you do blame that on Mason Rudolph, you either did not watch the game, or you just don't know anything about situational football, or you just don't know anything about football, period. No reason to leave a timeout on the board like that. Thank God it didn't come back to hurt us, because the Steelers stopped the Ravens to start the second half. So thank God the Steelers were able to bail out Tomlin once again with his incompetence and his lack of fundamentals and his lack of clock management. Also, I don't understand why you play zone defense under the 2-minute warning with the Ravens having the ball when they just converted a 4th down, and you let them cut it to a 17-10 game, and you tried to ice Justin Kicker on a 36-yard field goal. Sorry, Mike, I get you trying to ice the kicker, but you're talking about the greatest kicker of all time, in my opinion. Yes, as a Steeler fan, I'm sitting down here saying Justin Tucker is the GOAT when it comes to kicking. The guy just don't miss, let alone 36, 37-yard field goals. I don't care if it was raining out there. Tucker just doesn't miss. And if you want to talk about a Steeler killer not named Tom Brady, it's Justin Tucker. You're talking about a guy who hasn't missed a field goal against us in 7 years. So, yeah, Mike, sorry, I get what you're trying to do, but A, you're not icing Justin Tucker, and B, it's a 36-yard field goal. It's just not going to happen. Okay? You shouldn't have been in there again because doesn't Tomlin call the shots on defense? For those people that want to sit down here and blame the defense, then you have to blame Tomlin because he's the one who calls the shots on defense. I just don't get why you're getting cute by playing zone defense in that situation. You have to finish up the game. Again, the Steelers bailed out Tomlin and recovered the onside kick. And any QB with half a brain would have kneeled down and won the game at that point. Ravens can't stop the clock. They got no timeouts remaining, which I get, which is why, you're not overly concerned about it. But see, these little things right here, even though we did win the game, but those little things right there, and even with that 3rd and goal situation where you run it with Jaylen Warren on a reverse end jet sweep on 3rd and goal, I'm not in love. I don't hate kicking a field goal at the goal line right there to make it 17-7 because at least you extend the lead. But it's just the play before that. You can't get cute at the goal line right there. You got to go for the knockout blow and officially put that game away. Because at that point, you score a touchdown. That drive I just mentioned by the Ravens doesn't matter at all. But see, those 3 things right there, they may be the only complaints that I have about tonight's game because we didn't play a perfect game. We didn't play a great game tonight. We played sloppy tonight. We fumbled 5 times and lost 2 fumbles. Baltimore didn't play particularly great either, and I know people are going to sit back and say, well, it was the rain. Well, they were resting their starters. Those things are true too, but we had to play in those situations as well. But like I'm saying, those 3 things right there, they may be little, but guess what? It's the little things in football that win you games. It's little things that make the biggest difference. Do you seriously think if the Pittsburgh Steelers end up making the playoffs tomorrow, pending on what happens with the Titans and Jaguars and or the Bills and Dolphins, do you really think that this team would be able to bail out a team in the playoffs who's at 100% health pretty much, and they're playing to go to the Super Bowl? Do you really think a team is going to let us off the hook like that? No, they're not. Like I said, you got the win. You did what you needed to do, but I'm sitting down here right now. Those are 3 big strikes against the Steelers right there. And all I'm saying is, again, we won this game in spite of Mike Tomlin. We won this game in spite of the play calling. There were a bunch of other bad play calls that we had tonight, which is why I'm sitting down here saying we did not play a perfect game. Yes, I'm happy we swept the Ravens again. Yes, I'm happy we did what we needed to do. But I'm sitting down here right now telling you those are some massive strikes against the Steelers right there. As far as TJ Watt, and I promise this is the last negative thing I'm saying in this video because I know you complainers down there are like, well, you do nothing but complain about your team. I ain't complaining. I'm not hating, I'm not complaining. How am I hating when these are literal facts? But getting into TJ Watt, I don't know what his status is. Incidental contact with Montravius Adams, his leg got busted up, and he had to miss the rest of the game. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's out long term. I don't know if he's going to miss a playoff game if we make it. I don't know. All I'm saying is it doesn't help our case. Because TJ had another great game. 2 sacks on the night, give him 19 on the season. Helps his case of winning Defensive Player of the Year. All I can say is if we do not have TJ Watt for the playoffs, I mean, regardless if we have TJ Watt for the playoffs or not, I don't think we're going to make a playoff push. We're not going to make a run. I think our ceiling is making the divisional round. But TJ Watt or no TJ Watt, I just don't think this team is going to make a playoff run. I really don't. Okay? But that doesn't excuse me sitting down here saying that I hope TJ gets better. I mean, obviously, I'd be a moron to not say that. But that just goes without saying is what I'm trying to say. Okay? But let's get on to what went right for us tonight. Mason Rudolph. I think he played well, given the conditions outside. It was raining all night in Baltimore. I don't know what more he could have done. I don't know what more, he was supposed to do. But that touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson on a 71-yard slant. Beautiful route by Deontay Johnson. That was for 71 yards. That was for almost half of Mason Rudolph's total yards right there. He had 152 yards passing tonight on 18 of 20 attempts. So really, I don't know what more Mason could have done, but I think he did well enough given the circumstances, and B, it's just that the players just couldn't handle the ball all night tonight unless your name is Najee Harris. Najee, I was this close to calling this guy a bust. All season and most of last season, I was really close to pencil in Najee as a bust. But I think ever since Mason Rudolph has been named the starter for this team, Najee Harris has been a late bloomer. And I have newfound hope in him. 26 attempts tonight for him, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Phenomenal second drive by the Steelers in the first quarter tonight. 12 plays, 76 yards, burned over 6 minutes off the clock, resulting in a touchdown. And that's the way that you can win a playoff game, is by bleeding out the clock and using that running back by committee type of offense. Because while I do think that Jaylen Warren is your RB1 still, because he has that explosiveness to him, because he can get deeper gashes than Najee can, you also have a guy in Najee to where he's becoming that physical downhill runner like he's supposed to be out of Alabama, where he's fighting for the extra yards, and the O-line is starting to battle as well, unless your name is Mason Cole or Dan Moore or Chuks Okorafor, but that, again, just goes without saying, okay? But you see the O-line pushing for him. You see the O-line helping out their teammates. And you see that O-line getting more physical. But at the same time, you can't be one-dimensional offensively, because George Pickens, he had 0 targets tonight. The only play that George Pickens had tonight was on a sweep where he picked up 3 yards. But that's not the way that you use George Pickens. I just hope that Pickens doesn't throw another hissy fit and he doesn't complain that he's not getting the ball again. But, yeah, man, I think offensively, I think the Steelers did well enough to win. We killed the Ravens with time of possession. We outgained them in yards. We had more plays than them total. I think the offense didn't do amazing. I don't think they did terrible. I think they did all right. I just think they did what they needed to do to win this game. And that's all you can really ask for in a situation like this. Defense, I thought, stepped up really well as well. I already talked about TJ Watt. Larry Ogunjobi, great game for him tonight. Caused the strip sack. Marcus Golden picked up one of them. I think all 4 turnovers tonight were via a lost fumble, because I think each team had 2 lost fumbles tonight. So You got to like that by the Steelers. We can cause strip sacks. We can get physical. We can still cause turnovers. Larry Ogunjobi, I think, is just one of the most underrated players on this entire team. Nick Herbig, I think, was in there, and he did well. But Patrick Peterson, man, I mean, look, dude, you're going to Canton. Look, dude, in my opinion, you're going to Canton. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But he missed a tackle that resulted in Baltimore's only touchdown. You got to make that tackle, dude. I get it's a rainy night. I get the field is crappy and no one else wants to play in it. I understand that. But it's just a tackle that you got to make. You're a veteran corner in this league, and it's just a play that you can't miss. If this was 10 years ago, Peterson makes that play all day. But you're done, bro. You're not in your prime anymore. You're going to Canton. But I've said this pretty much all season with Patrick Peterson. It's just time to call it a career. Plain and simple. I do not want to see this guy on the Steelers in 2024. I especially don't want to see Mason Cole. I don't want to see Dan Moore. I don't want to see Chooks. The good thing for us personally is that with the O-line, Broderick Jones has played much better on the right side, but he's a natural left tackle, so I think that's a real good problem to have. But I would still like us to draft a natural right tackle. And, of course, we need to go center, in my opinion, with our first draft pick. That just goes without saying. As far as the secondary goes, you got to get someone opposite of JPJ. That guy's an absolute stud. And you also need a safety as well. So if this is indeed our last game that we played, again, pending tomorrow night, those are definitely changes that we need to make as far as the personnel. But I still sit down here and say, unless this team goes on a deep playoff run and Tomlin does not show incompetence again, I'm sorry, guys, this is just not a playoff team, in my opinion. I'm sitting down here giving you my objective, honest opinion. Good for you guys. You got the win tonight. You did what you needed to do, but it doesn't change my mind. The reason that you're in this predicament where you're not in control of your own destiny and you need other teams for the umpteenth time again to even get you to the playoffs is because you let games slip away from you that you should have won. You got blown out you lost back-to-back games to teams you had no business losing to. Okay? You got outcoached by rookie coaches. The 49er game I'm not complaining about because, let's face it, the 49ers are a juggernaut. But you want to know how you're not in a situation like this? By not losing to the 2-10 Cardinals and the 2-10 Patriots in 4 days. That's how you got yourself in this situation. The Colts game was whatever, but still, let's not forget the Steelers had a 13-0 lead in that game. In my opinion, those are the 3 games this year that put us in this situation. The other 4 were like whatever. The 49ers I already talked about. Houston, whatever. It was early in the season. I honestly did not expect us to sweep a single AFC North opponent. So I'm not going to sit down here and say, well, we didn't sweep the Browns. But then again, we did sweep the Bengals and the Ravens. And then, of course, the Jacksonville game. The Jags have been one of the biggest thorns in our side. But the 3 games to me that stood out for why we were in this situation that we're in right now, they all happened last month. New England, Arizona, and Indy, all in a row. Kind of like 2018, where we lost 3 consecutive games to the AFC West to put us in a similar situation. Okay? So now here you are again. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Steeler fans, if you want to forgive Tennessee for one day for what they did in 2008 to us, be my guest. You want to root for Miami, be my guest. But I'm just sitting down here telling you right now, I just don't expect this team to make a deep playoff run if they make it. But you did what you needed to do tonight, which was win. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am Mac, checking on out for the night. Have a good one, everybody.